Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to this session of Let Us Talk It webinar. We call it our own ZIPINAR because we try to put in as much information as possible in this 1 hour that we ask you to spend with us. We try to bring in 2 speakers. Previously, we were trying to put in 3 speakers, but because the time was too short, we want to get more of our speakers. So we are putting in 2 speakers in 1 hour. Our own and sole goal here is to inform and empower the community. That is with information. And then if you want to go ahead and have any ideas which we like or we can collaborate, we are always welcome to do it. And if you have any ideas and ways that we can work together, you can email us at webinar@letustalkit.com and we'll contact you back there. And also for the kids, for the youth, for our future generation, we have our live webinars, which happen every alternate Fridays and Saturdays with 2 groups. We do this to ensure that our youth, they have a place to voice their opinion on subjects that they choose. They develop public speaking skills, and as well, they also learn a little bit of, communication, virtual communication. They make friends and they definitely have fun. That's one thing that we try to do. So these are the, and there are many other areas that Let Us Talk It functions. So if you need more information, you can visit our website, letustalkit.com. And as well, you can definitely enroll your kids by going to letustalkit.com/youth and enroll them there as well. Having said that, we begin our today's session. We have 2 powerful topics. The first topic was sustaining HR, which equals to employee happiness, and we'll find out strategies for employee retention. Very important for HR. To speak on this topic, we have Jitanshu Chandel. He is the Director of Operations at Target Blues Training Solutions. But more than that introduction, I like how he describes himself with a mantra that when life raises a hand to stop you, give it a high five and move on. So that explains his dynamic and power-packed motivational speeches that he gives. He's also a certified NLP trainer, LEAP leap trainer, communication and personality development coach, leadership incubation and team development guide, and all of it. But we do not want to waste time in describing him, but we want to hear from him and get the most of what he has to offer with his charisma, with his confidence. So absolute honor to have you, Jitanshu. Over to you.
Thank you so much. That was so humbling for me to just have a nice introduction of mine. And thank you for highlighting that point, Julian, that it's a personal belief, when life gives you a hand to just stop you, just give it a high five and move on. No negative feelings, no hard feelings, no anger to be shown, just a positive spirit and move with it. You don't have the time to show anger. We don't have the time to be depressed. We don't have the time to acknowledge the negativity that other people are giving to us. Forget it. Just keep moving on. So on this note, I begin my speech for the day. And as I've already been in association with Let Us Talk It, and in my last 2 webinars, they were focused around developing HR. The first was incubating leadership and how HRs and organizational setups should work in order to incubate leaders, especially when they are tapped young. And along with that, in the last webinar, when we were talking the similar lines itself, but there, beyond the incubation, we were discussing the strategies as to how we need to provide them with an equal opportunity to play as well. So just identifying leadership and then just letting them go waste is not the right thing to do. So Continuing on to that, there was something that struck my mind when we were having a discussion a few days back, that whether what should be the good topic for this particular webinar. So this particular topic that I have quoted for this webinar, it struck me, and I suppose that in the modern HR structures or in the modern organizations, whether we are talking about multinational corporations, or we're talking about national corporations, or we're talking about the government institutions, or we're talking about non-governmental institutions, even in small businesses as well. One thing which we've identified in the last decade is that retaining quality HR has become a big issue. And my recent study on this actually identified that for a long period of time, and we can state that about 8 to 10 years in the last decade, we've actually not struck on the right issue till now. For a long period of time, we have been blaming the millennial culture, the Gen Z culture. We've been complaining that technology has made the entire youth or our middle level managers so complacent that they are not ready to bend their backs and contribute to the growth of the organization. And as soon as they get an opportunity, they move out. We've tried to blame economic structures in the economy. We've tried to create an environment where we are not actually hitting upon the right issue as such. And thus, this entire thing that I actually built up around this particular talk will be concentrating on hitting upon the right issue, and that is retaining HR, but first actually giving the HR, the human resource, the spirit of happiness with which they can connect. I actually prepared a wonderful presentation, all glossy and glared up and beautifully put up pictures. I just scrapped it about half an hour back. I just scrapped it. I put it in my recycle bin. Because what I struck was striking gold when I was just doing my last minute research, and I was on Google News and I was seeing this beautiful article by Yahoo Finance. I just dumped my presentation. But what I was able to do was I was able to draw certain images from that article. It's actually openly available on Yahoo Finance. But I have taken some like small notes out of them and converted them into small images. And I would be beginning with one of them. And I hope that it actually explains what I'm trying to build up over here. So please focus on this particular slide that I will be presenting on the screen right now. And as soon as it is visible, somebody would please confirm it to me that it is visible. Yeah. Is it visible to everybody?
It's coming up.
Great. So Ahmed, the great resignation, perks and pay are no longer enough. So this was a survey which was being conducted by United Minds Global. And the study said that meaningful work matters as much as employee experience and compensation and flexibility. Now, what we need to understand as heads of organizations or leaders of the HR structures or managers or what we say as VPs and CEOs and CEOs, what we want to draw out of our employees is something that we need to give them an image about, which they can experience in real life, and then we can extract that exact thing out of them when we need to. The KRC research reveals that the ability to make a meaningful contribution to the job is just as important as money is. We're talking about a 3-layer HR structure where we talk about people who are coming from backgrounds where they have not got great opportunities to make money, or probably from humble backgrounds. When they achieve that, then they are able to live up with their expectations of the society. They're making decent money. Great. They're happy in their own structure. But what about all those people who are moving on and beyond the money, the compensation of money? For them, probably their parents have taken care of this. They are living in family structures where their parents are both earning, or probably their spouse is also earning. They do not have the issues of money longing anymore. So what do we do for them? How do we create that experience for them? They're not coming into an office so that they can have a big fat income. They're coming into an office for satisfaction. And they will be retained only and only if that satisfaction level is met. So when we're talking about employee retention, and I say employee happiness, this is the first picture that I would like to show you, the first abstract from this particular article. Perks and pay are no longer enough. HRs now need to improvise. They need to come up with divine strategies to keep their employees motivated, logged in for a purpose. The KRAs need to be defined in such a way that it brings out the best out of them, hits out not just on the academic side of their work, not just the experience side of their work, but also something creative, which brings out a hidden talent, I suppose, something that they have long forgotten since their college days. When that particular point is hit upon, employees start feeling belonging to that place. And once that belongingness is achieved, retention automatically starts happening. So all those entrepreneurs, all those business heads who are hearing me out, all those HRs who are hearing me out, please start devising a policy of structured KRA. Hit out on all those important points that you think can actually generate the spirit of belongingness amongst your employees. After this, another picture that struck me was another one of beautiful, and this is another article which is coming from that very another abstract from that very article. I'll just be showcasing that to you as well. Just a moment. Right, this is all going. So as I've said, I've already dumped my presentation. I've already deleted it. It's in my recycle bin. I'm not even bothered working on it right now. For me, this is important. Why? Because probably this article is summing up what I actually want to achieve from this. Here goes. So the survey moves on and it says this. Our research shows employees want a fair deal. Absolutely. Every employee who's sitting up for an interview, talking to you, discussing finances, discussing what he's going to bring on board, he wants a fair deal. And no longer legitimate economic compensation is sufficient. When we're talking about a fair deal, we're also talking that they want their social, cultural, and most importantly, their psychological upliftment. It's important to employees these days that their personality is also upgraded, not just their lifestyle. Lifestyle, they'll manage it. They already are bending their backs enough to resource their lifestyle. What they need now is places beyond their personal space to exercise the luxury of living that lifestyle. They want a culture that's inclusive, safe. Why inclusive and safe? Inclusive meaning they're not left out. They have creative ideas. Initially, what we saw in HR structures way down in the 90s, 70s, 80s, the decision-making capacities were reserved with people who had the knowledge for that particular job. I'm talking about MBAs. I'm talking about people with MTechs. I'm talking about people coming out of IIMs and IITs. I'm talking about people who have worked in MNCs, worked abroad, brought their experience back into corporations and now working. The decision-making capacity was reserved a majority to these people as only. And the others were only instruments of the policy. They were merely acting as agents who were forcing this particular strategy to work into place. But now what we are seeing is there has been a transcendental shift in the way knowledge is being imparted to people. It's no longer at a cost. You open up YouTube, you open up all these edtech companies. They are providing you quality, internationally acclaimed learning at cost that is mind-blowingly low. 500 rupees, $7 total. Your tuition fees and your residential fees, your food expenditures are all out of the window now. They don't matter because that is the power of tech. Now, when that has been taken care of course, that knowledge periphery used to remain reserved to a certain group of people is now available to everybody. So they also want to feel a part and parcel in the decision-making activity. So they need to be included. They need to be feeling safe that if you're providing a solution, welfare of the organization, like that is going to create for you in the organization, right? So this is what this service is. And moreover, this service is they believe in building a loyal, thriving workforce which is empowering people to do what enriches their lives. Enrichment of life. Now, what we need to understand as entrepreneurs, what we need to understand as leaders is a young man and a woman who is living in a city culture, tier 1, tier 2, metropolitan cities, globally living in international capitals. Majority of the businesses are reserved in capitals of the countries. Population burst, a very tight scheduled work day, competition in the market is forcing people already to bend their backs further than they actually need to. They're spending 9 hours of their day in trying to create some productive meaning and justifying what they take as a salary home. They're already bending their backs 9.5, 10 hours a day. And they're ready for it. They're ready for it. So if a human being who in a lifespan of, let's say, 35 years of work is ready to contribute 9 to 10 hours in a day, is already contributing approximately 11.5 years of his total life to a place where he is just going for work. That's not a place where he's going to sit out with his wife enjoying a cup of tea. That's certainly not a place where he can enjoy with his kids. Sit back, relax, and see the fun, nature in all its glory. No, that's not the place. He goes there, bends his back, gets things done. So why wouldn't he expect that experience where he's spending about 11.5 years of his total life? Why would he not want that place to give him an experience of enrichment? You do that for your employees get retained. Otherwise, it's a dead end for them. They are going to move into places that are going to provide them this environment. And their search will continue till they do not achieve this. Remember from the last slide, I repeated, financially, they are secure. They've already arranged that kind of a compensatory medium from where they can live their life. For a moment, probably if things really go bad, they might just adjust into that, but gradually they will come back to what they're searching for, the enrichment of life. So that is why what we are looking for is a much more different employee-employer relationship in the future. And especially post-COVID, when the world has come down to being online, right? And we are using Zooms and WebEx and webinars and all these online meetings. The relationship has to be much more deep. The physical interaction is going to be limited to some more time in the future now. So how are you going to create a positive image in the mind of your employee without even having the opportunity to shake his hand? How are you going to give that confidence to your employee is actually the need of the hour. Moving on, post this, I went through the article further on. It's a very enriching article, speaks about a lot of other things in this particular context. And as I was as I was progressing, as I was seeing it further, I got to see this. I hope that this is presenting on your screens, right? This is going to keep happening because I do not want to rush the process. So each picture I'll be showcasing it fresh alive, right? What's not negotiable? Fairness and safety. Srini must remember this. In my first webinar, I was talking about fairness. When you're talking about leadership growth in organizations, you have to create that environment where opportunity is extended to everybody. Favoritism and office politics is the key to killing globally organizations that have created a great reputation for themselves. Politics can kill positive HR. What's non-negotiable? Fairness. If you believe that there's something that can be offered to a lot of people, and you believe that because of that certain skill set, a lot of people can have that opportunity to do it, then make it competitive. Don't keep it reserved only for those people who you think they're near me. They talk to me often. Our telephonic conversations are a little too much. They care about my birthdays and anniversaries. I think that this person, I can extend the opportunity. Why? It's just because somebody is not ready to, or probably is a little forgetful to remember your birthdays or your anniversaries and forgets to wish you, but has the decency to come up to you and say, happy birthday, sir. When he comes to know that, he is equally a good employee as the one who remembers it. Now, this example may sound to be a little kiddish, but that is something which is happening in real time in organizations. Deny it as much as we can. Favoritism, partialities, to the extent that just because that person is from my own region or speaks my language or is culturally associated with me, and even to the extent that he eats chicken and I eat chicken and the other people don't enjoy it, are basis of partiality in organizations. Trust me if you want to. And whenever there is an environment of partiality, bias, safety issues start cropping up. Now, I'm not talking about safety in terms of physical safety, bodyguarding your employee. No, that is not what they're looking out for. What safety means to them is that they can look forward to coming the next day, and they can believe that what they started, they will continue and take it to the end. They will not be peeled off it. They will not be asked to leave it and move into another thing, while whatever they actually germinated will be harvested by somebody who was not even associated with it. Fairness and safety, non-negotiable. You look up LinkedIn, it is completely filled with articles, notes, what we call as the meme culture, people criticizing their bosses. There have been like posts by people who are naming their seniors, calling them by their names and then giving them taglines, calling them unfair. That shouldn't happen, because that is sufficient to kill somebody's spirit who might be planning to join you as well. You know, social media has a lot of strength. It has the capacity not just to convince people who are directly associated with you, they have the capacity to deviate people who are indirectly associated with you or planning to associate with you. LinkedIn is another medium of professional social media. You read something on there, you read a review on Glassdoor, you read a review on any of the placement or employment websites. The confidence is shaken. So probably this needs to be addressed primarily. So if you want to retain good employees, what you talk during the interview, give that. Move one step beyond, provide what they are looking out for, the environment of fairness and safety. Give them a reason to come to office each morning. Moving ahead, the next part of this particular article And this is actually the anchor statement which would summate my entire talk. And I hope that it comes through to you as I want it to come. What I give as an employee, employees' contributions are as important as company benefits. Each one of us wants to feel valued. Why wouldn't we? The last evening when I was playing a match of badminton with one of my friends, we won the match. And incidentally, he was saying, "Yaar, तूने मेरा shot देखा था क्या? Net के ऊपर से bob करते हुए सीधा बस it just landed in the other person's court." I'm happy with it. You made a contribution to the team. We won. If I start saying that was just a fluke shot, you won by a fluke. Yeah, it was all my smash, which was coming from the back because you were playing continuously to the net. What were you doing? You were just moving left and right and lobbing the shuttle over the net. I was the one who was hitting it hard. What you're doing is you're killing the spirit amongst the HR that they are also contributing to the game. They know how much they have contributed. They're aware about it. They're not going to brag out and say, "I am the one who made this possible." I'm sorry. But if we peel that particular spirit out of them and we do not celebrate to the work process of the company, then we are actually peeling them off of the right of being important. And then we talk in terms of public meetings, or when we're talking in terms of HR meets or annual meetings or general body meetings, you are the pillars of this organization. That's hollow statements falling onto the ears of those people who actually have experienced something totally opposite. You cannot afford to do that. Certainly not in the modern environment. Certainly not. You give them hollow statements, they will give you hollow work. Take it from me right now. So if you're ready to accept the contributions of employees and celebrate them as important as companies' benefits, you're giving them a reason to be retained. You're giving them a reason to belong to some place. Again, as I said, they're not looking out for monetary compensation that has been taken care of. What they're looking out for is a purpose to contribute. That is important. So as I read this statement for you, feeling valued for purposeful contributions is a strong predictor of employee satisfaction, which means getting this driver right is especially important. Simply put, people want to do good, purposeful work and in turn get recognized. The distrust, the factor of doubt, I hired him, is he really on board? Is he really with me? Is he really understanding the mission and the vision of the organization? You have to cut out these doubts. You'll have to put it out of the window. When you're sitting with an employee, sit with an open heart and an open mind. Discuss, they are ready to contribute good. Your experience with working with people should be good enough for you to judge whether that person is really contributing positively, or is it just trying to, or he's just trying to make that impression that I'm too good. So it's not a calculation whether he's speaking the truth or not. It is a judgment whether you can judge whether he's speaking the truth or not. That's a judgment of your experience, your dynamism. Unfortunately, a majority of the people sitting in managerial positions, controlling, demanding, and decision-making positions are not able to make this judgment. And when we are not able to make the judgment, unfortunately, what I have been observing in the last 15 years is shift the shoulder of guilt. Shift the shoulder of guilt. So if we are not able to identify it, we shift it onto the shoulder. This generation is bad. And then we start blaming people who are not even responsible for what we are unable to do. Recognize your people. Give them the opportunities, what they deserve. Again, money has been taken care of. What you need to make them aware is that they are valued. They have a purpose in the organization, and that purpose is contributive. Moving further, I say this could not have been more better than this, right? And this would probably something which I would like to summarize my entire talk with, and we would just be ending the talk on this particular photograph. What matters in the long run is that workplace flexibility symbolizes giving people the autonomy to self-manage, demonstrate trust, and show confidence. It conveys a willingness to listen and to meet employees where they are. So truly said. This is Ben, who was actually the head of the study. You have to create flexibility in your workplace. That needs to be symbolized. And it has to be long-term. So if one of your employees is unable to come into office for a week just because he is shifting his house, and that is mandatory to happen because probably his wife has moved into another office, which is near to her, and she's a working mother, and the security of the child and the well-being of the child is paramount to that person. If we can showcase a little bit of flexibility and allow him a certain time of work from home or certain flexible working hours, that person would feel belonged. It should be symbolized. It's not just there to be spoken verbally. There is a female who is traveling from one side of the city to the other, and she's asking you, sir, can I stay back 1 hour after the office? Can I come in a little late 1 hour into the day? You need to create those environments where the factor of jealousy dies down and people understand one another. If they see somebody coming in 1 hour late, they should also celebrate that that person is staying back 1.5 hours in the evening after they leave, and he's completing all the tasks. You have to cultivate those cultures. And that would only come when people are knitted together. Again, when there is fairness, again, when there is genuine impression that work is being extracted in the right manner, there is an unbiased attitude working in the organization, everybody's work is being celebrated, only then you will be able to cultivate such cultures. Otherwise, jealousy, lethargy, lack of interest in the work, pulling each other's legs, that's going to prevail in the office. And you intend to extract good quality work from your employees, forget it. Never going to happen. So what you think is ignorable just because you think that you're sitting in a leadership position and these people are very down there and you do not need to get involved with what they are doing and what they're facing, just because it is something that you think you've already passed your years, moved ahead into your life, and this is something that is a part and parcel of everybody's work life. Sorry. Then you cannot call yourself as good leaders. Right? The problem of our system is that a majority of us think that just because we faced it, others also deserve to face it. Everybody should ring the same music that we ring. Yeah, that doesn't work in the real world. Rather, somebody would celebrate this, that if you have ringed the music and you are ready to protect the person and give him the opportunity to have a better thing for himself or herself, he would celebrate that and he would respect that. You need to demonstrate that. Give them the autonomy to self-manage things. Koi nahi, aap late ho rahe hain, come 2 hours late, but manage your work. I don't know how you do that. That's temporary, huh? No problem, sir, I'll do that. Thank you so much. The smile that he'll carry out of your office and the way he closes the door is a symbol enough to understand whether he went out satisfied or not. I can bet you try it the next time. The way an employee closes the door behind him while he's leaving your office is a symbol whether he went out satisfied or not. So aren't we sitting in leadership positions to manage work properly? And isn't human management a part of the job? And if you're not doing it correctly, aren't we actually not doing the work properly ourselves? Then who gave us the right to blame others? We want our employees to be creative, come out with out of the box ideas, but we are not providing them the space to think out of the box. So then who is failing at the job? So my humble request to all HRs, business leaders, CEOs, presidents, ladies and gentlemen, take time, think about this. You're complaining about lack of employee leadership, lack of employee retention, may be a problem that has been generated by yourself. Probably by you not being able to give it a thought, probably you thinking that it is not a matter of your concern. You need to sit down with the drawing board again with all the people who matter. You'll have to go to them. You'll have to bring them to you. And only then the team will be formed. Teams formed, targets are achieved. Targets are achieved, missions and visions are there in reality. So thank you so much, everybody, for being so patient and listening me out for this small brief talk on employee retention and how to keep your employees happy. I hope that this would be working for you. And if in case there are any doubts or questions, I would be glad to take them up right away.
Thank you so much, Jitanshu. That's really true to life and a very relatable situation and discussion you have shared to us. Like I've been with like 4 different companies before Cogent. Like it's something really I can relate. Like I've experienced that one. Like you cannot find your really like a fit or a good spot on that company because the value is not there. Well, that's really good. Now, thank you so much for that. Now, we are now open for questions about the topic or anything. You can share your insight or to connect with our speaker. Please unmute or raise your hand.
Hey, Jitanshu, nice listening to you again. It is another great session. And on the HR side, I just want to see whether like you are helping any companies also, like practically diving into, the issues that the HR is facing and then trying to resolve and provide consulting. You or your network is into that as well?
Yeah, Shuni, I guess we had a talk about this a few days back as well. I think probably a month back or something when we were having that second webinar. Yes, we are actually. And that is something from where I got the motivation to actually speak about this topic. And at the same time, I just request the host of the meeting to please pin my video onto this so that you can just keep my video on the screen. Yeah, my video device on the screen for pinning. Because I'm speaking from another device, there is some issue with technical issue with this, right? So yeah, Shani, we are working with a lot of organizations in this particular field, and to your delight, it would be that we are working with 3 MNCs right now, and the biggest challenge that they are facing right now is that the same old problem: people coming in, staying for a very brief period of time, and then moving out. So we are working on certain internal strategies that we can work with these companies, and then during the interviews only we can find out how we can actually generate the best out of that particular employee. And also with a few organizations, we're working on developing completely trustworthy work from home structures. One thing which we've come out in the last 1.5 years is that work from home has become a new normal. But that normal has also created a lot of trust issues amongst employers and employees, right? So that is also another reason because of which probably employees do not feel secure. They're feeling they're feeling, I won't say to use the word cheated, but they're not feeling satisfied. So we're trying to build up on structures where we can motivate people to accept security norms and at the same time feel belongs to the organization. And we are trying to build up on that particular spirit. One particular project that I would precisely be speaking on is one with one of the pharmaceutical giants that I've been working with for the past 1.5 years. And recently, because it is a manufacturing unit, so the lower level employees, specifically the factory workers and all those people who are engaged directly with machine working, they are changing employment very frequently because probably they look into the financial side. So we are trying to build up a particular setup where we are trying to look into as to what exactly are the requirements of such people. Are they really like moving out just because it's the money? What are the reasons for their cost escalations? Is it because they are probably thinking that they need to take care of their children's education, or is that because they probably need to take care that the traveling is a little far off? So we are trying to build up systems where everybody can nestle around the manufacturing unit. They can have the access to good quality life being sponsored by the organization. We're trying to build up collaborations with NGOs who are ready to come in and they collaborate for good quality teaching of young students. We are trying to pitch in engagement programs for females, the women, the wives of employees, where we would like to bring them together, and then they can contribute and also make some financial contribution to their family, utilize the day's time. While if they have infants with them, so probably the infants can be engaged within the premises of the factory in a safe environment. So we're trying to build up all those strategies that make people feel belonged. And even if we do not raise a single penny for them, and we are not giving them incentive, okay, stay with us because we're raising your salary, they still would like to stay with organizations. So these are the contributions we are trying to work upon.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you.
Anybody else with any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, so if you have further questions, you can just type it on the chat. Our speaker can interact with you also through chat, so we can move to the next topic for today. And also, Jitanshu will be also available through LinkedIn, so you can search him offline if you wish to. So for the next topic for today, we also have a very good speaker that will be that is here with us. It is Ish. He said to himself, when according to his profile, he was a master of procrastination, was bullied in school, flunked in grade 9, and failed in 24 interviews to get his first job. But through that hardships, he built up and learned from those tough ways. And now he is a CEO for leader maker, startup mentor, business coach, and public speaker. He helps startups in terms of entrepreneurship, and he will be bringing us this topic, Entrepreneurship Simplified. Over to you, Ish.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Philip. First of all, I wanted to say thanks to Jitanshu for raising such an important topic, because there is one topic that is close to my heart and is among the reasons that I stepped into entrepreneurship. Spent 20 years in the corporate world, was in the leadership position. I always try to lead the way Jitanshu said, but when you have people above you giving you directions, it sometimes becomes difficult to lead that way. And that made me decide, if I cannot go ahead and lead the way I can, the best way for me would be to build an organization and create a culture wherein I build trust and I build that belongingness among my employees moving forward. And that's how the current program that I developed came into existence. And I thought, if I am doing it for myself, I've understood how the entrepreneurship thing works. Let me put that into a process and help others like me, who probably may want to get out of that corporate culture and build something of their own. So that's how my journey began on understanding leadership. Leadership is something that I started to work closely on with one of the leadership mentors, John Maxwell. I joined his mentorship about a year back and have been following him for good 4 years. So that's whom I've learned everything about entrepreneurship and leadership. And I'll try and share my insights about the process that I've built that is now helping a lot of people identify their passion and then build a business around it. And I'm not talking about a big business to begin with. It's to use your skills and use it in a way wherein you can solve a problem for others. So let me begin the talk by the 5 steps and help you understand how you can apply it in your life. And probably if you have a dream to be an entrepreneur, this would certainly help you to get into the right direction. So to begin with, when I was talking to a lot of people in past 1.5 years, I noticed there were few key reasons that were preventing people from choosing entrepreneurship. And one of the big reasons was fear of failure. that what if I fail in the entrepreneurship journey? And the second topmost reason was a lot of people, they want to start, but they have no idea because being an employee, they've never thought about an entrepreneurship. They want to be one, but they have no idea how to begin and how to plan their structure. And with all those kind of environment that we live in, we tend to believe or create false belief about ourselves, and which makes us believe that probably entrepreneurship is not the right thing for us. If we are not being valued, wherein we are being paid, how come we can create value and provide value in the market? That made me think, what should be the first step for somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur? And that led me to believe it's about detoxing your mind and making yourself believe that yes, I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Because for me, whether you are an employee, whether you are a CEO, you are already an entrepreneur. And I'm sure a lot of you will have raised eyebrows that how come that could be true? Well, in life, we all play different roles. We all are managing families. We are all managing some portion of finances, some portion of making decisions, some portion of managing risks. That's all entrepreneurship is about. If you can manage risk in your family, if you can manage a finance for your family, if you can manage the expectations of others in your family and go ahead and create that culture in your family, what stops you from managing it to create value for others? All you need to think is and believe is identify what you are good at, make yourself believe that yes, I have this skill, I know this is a problem the world has. If I can add more value as a solution to that problem, there is no way the world is not going to see me. And that's where I want people to start thinking about. You need to create a habit of thinking positive about yourself. The words that you choose about yourself defines what you believe about yourselves. And we all have got a vocabulary that we use daily. Say, for example, if I am down and out, I might use the word I'm shattered. But if you can replace the word shattered with a less heavy word, say I'm a little down, you immediately have a radical impact on how you feel about that situation. It won't look bad anymore, and you'll find ways to get out of that situation. You would no longer be stuck. That's how you start to detox your mind, by creating a culture of not using too much of harsh words about negative situations. In fact, I'll suggest have somebody watch you and pinpoint when you use a harsh word about a negative situation, and try and use a less harsh word, or the best thing would be try and see use a positive word for that situation. And once you start implementing that, you'll begin to see a new energy flowing inside you. You'll begin to see a belief popping up inside you that yes, you have what it takes to go ahead and live your dream of entrepreneurship. I'm not saying that everybody has that dream, but those who has that, once you start feeding that brain, feeding their mind with the positive thoughts, you'll start believing it. And one habit that I adopted that helped me get into that frame of mind was the habit of reading. That's one habit. It is hard to develop to begin with if you are not a habitual reader. I was not one. It took me a good book to start with. But once you start reading that and you start applying the lessons, you'll get glued to reading. The book that I started reading it's the Go Giver series. Pick any of the 5 books in the Go Giver series and you'll enjoy reading that. It's a book that helps you understand that how just by being of value to others, you can be of value to yourself and create a legacy around it. Now that's the first step. You are beginning to detox your mind. But is that enough? Well, in most cases, that is just the beginning. Once you have detoxed, once you have built that momentum, once you have built that belief, there are still a couple of things that we need to work on. Cultivating the belief does not mean that you have the right confidence and the right mindset. These are the two pillars for me for any entrepreneur. If you're not confident in your abilities, as an entrepreneur, the chances are whatever venture you get into, you would be half-hearted. You might step into it out of excitement, but that excitement will always be half-hearted. And when you are going to pitch that solution or talk to people, they will sense that low confidence. So if you step into entrepreneurship without working on your confidence and understanding the reason behind that low confidence, you are shooting yourself in the foot. And the second thing is to have a growth mindset. This is paramount. Until and unless you work on your mindset and you're focused on growth, which a lot of people believe to be an automatic process, which is not. You need to have a time marked on your calendar. When I say time marked, you should have at least about 30 minutes a day dedicated to your personal growth. And by personal growth, I mean focusing on improving the EQ aspect of your life. IQs, we all work on, we all go for certifications, we all go for technical degrees. That only contributes to 20% of your success. The remaining 80% are the soft skills. One of them is leadership, which Jitanshu talked about, and how if you learn to be a good leader, you would always be a good entrepreneur, because a key component of entrepreneurship is leading others. Once you understand what leadership is, the entrepreneurship would look very easy to you. I'm not saying it is going to be easy, but yes, you will make it easy because you would know how to work with people then. Leadership is, for me, and what my mentor says, leadership is influence. If you understand this key term and understand that it's about making people feel valued and gaining respect, you will see leadership as a whole game, a different game altogether. Then you will be focused on serving others. You will be focused on finding ways to add value to whomsoever you are leading. In the moment you are focused on adding value to others, you gain respect. Then people are not following you because they have to or they want to. They follow you for because of who you are and what you have done as a person altogether. And that's the kind of leader you need to become if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. And all that would happen when you have built a mindset of an entrepreneur and you have worked up on your confidence. And the other thing that we need to assess, and that's where a lot of entrepreneurs who start out of excitement fail, is to understand a problem that you can solve, a problem that you're passionate about, and a problem that the world needs a solution for. So how do we do that? Well, I follow a simple framework, which I'm going to share with you. It's a 3-step process. The first step is simple. You need to grab a piece of a paper, divide it into 2 sections. One side, write down every skill that you have. It could be technical, it could be non-technical, it could be soft skill. And on the right hand side, note down your strengths. And it does not have to be something that you feel have a strength. A lot of times during our tenure, during our life, people tell us that you're good at it, but we don't recognize it. Close your eyes and think, what have you been appreciated about throughout your life? Make a list of all the skills and strengths. The robust the list would be, the better it's going to be for you. Now, the next step is to look at that list and start writing down problems that you can solve with the skills and the strengths that you've already accumulated. And believe me, through our working tenure, through our education, we have all compiled enormous amount of skills and talents already, which we can use to solve multiple problems. It's just that we have never thought about it. When you look at that strengths and when you look at that skills, I'm sure you'll be able to come up with at least 4 to 5 different problems. It could be even more, that you can solve. Don't limit it to the business world. Both business and the personal world, identify what all problems you can solve. Again, the larger the number of problems you can write down, better it's going to be for you. Once you have that problems listed out, it's about asking yourself 4 questions. Number 1, am I passionate about this problem? Number 2, do I have the skills, or can I grow the skills to solve this problem? Number 3, does the world actually have this problem? And the 4, will the world pay me to solve this problem? The moment you have yes on all 4, you have found a problem that world has and is ready to pay for you. And that's where you need to decide a method to solve that problem. There are 3-4 different ways that you can solve it. One is by building a training program. It could be solved through giving training. The other is, it could be that you can build a consulting offer, something that Jitanshu does. He has acquired the skills as a leader. So now he's working with the organization to consult as a leader and help them solve leadership issues. Similarly, we all have accumulated some skills. I, as a project and a program manager, accumulated business skills. So I'm now working, I've combined the learnings as a coach and as my consulting skills into an offer wherein I'm now working with startups and entrepreneurs to help them start their own businesses. Similarly, you can identify a consulting offer for you. And coaching is something that I'm personally passionate about. And I'll give a little insight into what coaching is, because there is a huge misunderstanding in the market between coaching and training. A lot of trainers use the title of a coach, but the work differs poles apart of what a coach does and what a trainer does. And I'm not devaluing any of those two. Both of them work hand in hand. A coach is somebody who will work with you to identify who you are, to help you raise the self-awareness, to understand what is causing a particular problem, to unpeel the onion. So for example, you say that I want more money. If you're working with a trainer, he'll give you 10 methods that you can earn more money. When you're working with a coach, he'll first sit with you and identify the core reason behind earning that money. And what are your core beliefs about not being able to earn that money. And then once he has identified the core reasons, he'll work with you on identifying different options for making money and help you work on the best option possible. That's the role of a coach, to raise self-awareness and help you find your own answers. Whereas a trainer will help you build the skills which you might find as a result of a coaching process, that yes, if I want to achieve a certain goal, I need to build these skills. So once you've identified what kind of business I have to do, it's about building the skills now. There are different skills that you would need to build because you are building it with your own efforts. So the first skill that you need to build is to understand how to build a personal brand. Because in today's world, social media has given us the power to be seen, to be heard. And if you pay attention and you build a brand for yourself, it's a matter of a few months that you would be seen as an authority solving that problem. So that's the third step of the process, wherein you go ahead and build a brand. The complete focus of this step is to help you build brand, help you build the confidence, help you build the mindset. So once you have mastered the confidence and the mindset, and you've worked on building your brand, then you start growing your presence and start talking to people. That's where you grow your network of people and start talking about your product or the service that you are going to provide. And when you are in the process of growing that network, what you need to focus on is talking to a lot of people, understanding what you have built as an offer, take their inputs to understand how you can make that offer tailor-made for them. Moment they have given their inputs for that offer, it's gonna be irresistible for them to hop onto, because it is coming in from the inputs from the people who are suffering from that problem. And that makes me go to the last step, wherein you launch the business and start working with clients. And that's where the journey actually begins. Now you would say, how come the journey is beginning? Because that's where a lot of entrepreneurs make a mistake of not investing in themselves. And that's where the real investment begins. You need to invest in developing yourself as a leader. There are 3 skills that you need to focus on: your ability to connect with others, your ability to build strong relationships, and your ability to create influence. If you focus on these 3 things and continue to evolve on these 3 aspects, nothing is going to stop you on becoming an entrepreneur that will create an impact. Just focus on 2 aspects if you want to succeed in your journey as an entrepreneur or even as an employee. Every time you are working on something, ask yourself just one question: what the thing that I'm doing today, how can I add more value to people? How can I make this service valuable? The moment you are able to answer it and you are able to show value, people are gonna come in and buy your service or a product. Or for that matter, if you are in an organization, once you are showing value, your manager or your supervisor someday is gonna see that value. And even if he does not, at least it will give you insights, it will give you the learning which you can use in the future. With that, I would conclude my talk for the day. I have kept it brief. I'll open it for Q&A for people to ask me anything about the process or anything they have doubts about. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful discussion, and through experience as well. You've shared your knowledge and what you have learned from where until where you are now, Ish. Thank you so much for that one. And for those who are listening or live through Facebook and YouTube, so this is the best way you can review this video in our YouTube channel. You can watch Ish, or you can also search him through LinkedIn if you wish to have discuss more about what his expertise are and what he do best. From Srini, good pointers, and thank you. From Soumya and Niranjan, thank you for the insights. Ish. Anyone who'd like to talk, you can unmute or raise your hand and connect with our speaker.
Yeah, that's a great session, Mr. Sachdeva. So I'm glad you started with the most important EQ for entrepreneurs. So that's such a practical one, and that really drives a lot of things. how we process the things. Yeah,
absolutely, Srini, and that's something that I learned the hard way. I've spent 20 years in the corporate world, and EQ was something that I always had, but a lot of times I was not able to use that in a proper manner. And because when you have people from the top, there is a lot of pressure and you crumble under it. I've been through that, and that is why I could resonate so much with what Jitanshu said on inclusivity in the workplace, and that's paramount in today's world if you want to succeed as a business. Until and unless you feel your employees valued, it's not gonna work for the organizations.
As a matter of fact, Akshay, I would just like to add something, and you hit on something very important while I was listening to you, that the differentiation between coaches and trainers, that has been like that is something that personally even I always wanted to actually convey as a meaning to people, because in a flood of overestimative talent coming and flooding the market, we've probably started dissolving the basic fabric that differentiates people and their roles in certain tasks. So when we're talking about a trainer, or when we're talking about a coach, or when we're talking about as a guide, their roles differ. Unfortunately, what we started making out is that the same what we did with sales and marketing, yeah, and the same that we did with probably HR and what we did try to do with the PR, right? We merged everything just because they had the same mother, right? So we forgot that every child is of a different identity. So thank you. I would like to thank you for that, for focusing on differentiating between these two, and just adding that uh, one more thing that I just wanted to ask you. You raised a beautiful point. I just need a clarity on that. When you said that when we are going specifically from the context of young startups, and this is something that even I'm encountering for the past 1 decade now, people enthusiastically come. They have creative ideas. They want to do something. They want to change something. When do you think that this change becomes more of money making rather than bringing a change in the society? From which point do you think that this starts happening, and how should this be avoided?
Well, see, for me, it actually, from the day you begin the thought, if you're beginning the thought because I want to make money out of this business, or do I want to make an impact? If the thought that I've raised is because I want to make an impact, money would always be secondary for you. Yes, we all start businesses. I've started a business to make money, and nobody in the world starts a business not to make money. But is money the paramount for you, or is building a legacy paramount for you? When you think about building a legacy, money is a byproduct. And how you build legacy is by identifying, yes, I've identified a certain problem, how I can be the most valuable in providing that service. What people tend to think is how I can make money today instead of thinking how I can make money a year down the line. That's the problem. When you start something thinking how I can make money immediately, then you are focusing only on the revenue aspect. Then you're not focusing on building a long-term robust solution. But when you think how I would continue to add value, say a year down the line, 2 years down the line, and 5 years down the line, then your thought process changes. Every activity that you do is then aligned to that long-term vision. And you need to have all goals: 1 year goal, 3 year, and 5 years. Even if you're beginning as a startup, you need to think till 5 years, 3 years, and 1 year. All three goals are important. Every step that you do should be aligned with all the three goals. It's not that you only think about short term. Yes, that is important. You need to make revenue, but how is that revenue going to impact your long term goal? If you're not clear on that, then you are again selling. Either you sell yourself short, or you will make an immediate profit, and then you would be trying to find ways to scale. A lot of one mistake that I've seen startups make is they try and focus more on scaling first, and they put profit on the backstage. They put the profit on the backstage. The ideal thing is, yes, you need to pour money in if in case you are building a big startup and you are seeking funding from outside. But your first focus should not be on scaling, but should be on making profits. Once you are into profit making, then you need to think about, yes, scaling. But yes, one more thing, when you're building your business, you should know how you are going to scale. It's not that you are not going to scale it. You are going to scale it. You need to know how you are going to scale it. But before that, you need to make profits.
That's really valuable advice for people. Yeah?
The basic structure. I'll give you a very good example. I'm working with a startup right now. He is building an OTT platform, which is Malayalam based, which it's a regional OTT platform. He was asked about his exit plans, and he asked me, I'm just starting out. Why should I think about an exit plan? I said, boss, if you are not clear today on how you are gonna get out of the business, how are you gonna plan it the right way? Getting out of business does not mean that you will get out of it, but at least that will give you an understanding what structure to put in place. Say 5 years down the line, you want to launch an IPO as an exit strategy. You need to plan it from today onwards. If your exit strategy is, say, probably 5 years, 10 years down the line, you want to sell it to another business, M&A is your strategy, then the work you will be putting in is going to be different.
Sure.
If you want it to be taken over by a family member, then you'll have to build it a different way, because you would want to involve that family member at least a few years before you are going to give the ream, so that they understand the value you are putting in the system and it's built on the right values. A lot of time we have seen that the reams are transferred and the company gets shattered. It's because the transfer does not happen properly. The values are not transferred.
True.
The
Thanks,
company
Ish.
is
Thanks.
built on values always.
That was a great explanation to my question, and I suppose that a lot of people who are listening to you, they would actually understand the difference of where they need to sit and understand whether they want to start for money making or really want to contribute to the society. Thanks a lot for answering my question.
Thank you so much, Jitanshu. Money making is okay, but if you are in the business only to make money, you're not going to survive for long. And
True.
you have seen it, I have seen it 5 years down the line. It is the reason that 95% of businesses either fail out or they are bought by others, and you see them scaling the same business, which was doomed. The moment it is being acquired by others, they are able to scale the same business. It's because
Thanks, Ish.
they think of adding value.
Lovely talking to you about this.
Same here, Jitanshu.
Thank you so much, speakers. That's a good discussion over there. It's an additional insight to all of our viewers. All right. So, anyone would like to add, or I would like to ask further? And also, while we are waiting, like those the topic and discussions we had today are very relatable, and like anyone who would watch and review this session would be able to relate and make use of those information. So speakers, thank you so much really for your time, effort, and inspiration. And just to let you know, we have our live youth as well. As Julian mentioned earlier, that's Let Us Talk It webinar every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So there is a preparation sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And also you can register at our website. That would be letustalkit.com/youth. And for younger youth group, we have preparation sessions Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for this week's younger group, youth group, Friday webinar at 8:30 p.m. EST, the topic would be is singers and their stories. So this would help our younger generation like learn and also have a better future. So hope we can all join that younger youth group session to encourage the younger ones. All right. So no one is chatting and no one is raising their hands. I guess that would conclude our session for today. Again, our speakers, they can be reached offline through LinkedIn if you wish to get in touch with them for further collaboration. So again, I thank you everyone for your time and for joining us today. See you again the same time next Wednesday for another interesting and inspirational topics that we'll have. All right. So thank you so much and you take care and everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks much.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.